Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into the Malicious Compliance archives. Our first story today comes to us from A Marathon Nightmare. When retail customers feel entitled to extra discounts for no reason, so you give it to them. Let's jump right in. I worked at a pretty popular department store for years, and I have to say that the customers this store breeds are the worst of the worst. This store is probably 90% of the reason that so many customers feel as entitled as they do. The cashier had the hiccups, it was incredibly annoying, isn't there anything you can do for me? Was an actual honest-to-God complaint one lady had for me when I was a supervisor. So anyway, I was covering a break up at the registers. I was a supervisor at the time and had also already given my 2 weeks notice. I was beyond fed up. It was like spring of my senior year all over again. I had no more F's left. So I'm up at the registers and this lady who couldn't have been more than 40 comes up with a huge cart full. Anyone who has worked retail, you know this woman. She's got the hair, she's smacking her gums at me while she talks on the phone. The entire transaction is delayed because I need her to pay and she starts to ignore me because apparently I'm the rude one for interrupting her phone call. She proceeds to tell the person on the other end, "Give me a second," and finally turns to me and says, as if I'm an impatient child testing her last bit of patience, "Yes. Here's your total, ma'am. Do you have any coupons or rewards to use today?" She nodded, and here is when she drops a few clippings on the counter in front of me, ignoring my outstretched hand, and turns her attention back to her phone. As soon as I look at the coupons, I see that none of them are usable. She has one that is $10 off your menswear purchase of $50 or more. She has all women's clothing. The next coupon expired 2 months ago, another one doesn't start for another week, etc., etc. So I try again to get her attention. She's just as lovely and accommodating as the last time. She rolls her eyes, tells the person on the phone that she will have to call them back, and gives me another sharp "Yes." "Sorry, ma'am, this coupon is expired, this one hasn't started, and this one is only for when you purchase $50 worth of menswear. Do you have any other coupons or rewards?" She stares at me like I had just called her mother some unsavory name. Excuse me, what? What could I do but shrug helplessly? "You have got to be kidding me. This is the entire reason I came out here today, to use those coupons. I really can't use them? Unbelievable. Some customer service here." All the while she's packing her useless coupons back into her purse and glaring scorch marks into my head. Remember I said I was done? My patience before Shopzilla here was already at 0. She tipped the scales. I was officially in the negatives. I had negative F's and negative patience left. So when she said, "You should be ashamed of yourself being so rude to a customer," something in me snapped. I smiled sweetly at her, mustered up a bright and cheery expression that I usually reserve as my waitress face, and said, "I'm so sorry you feel that way, ma'am. But on the bright side, since it's Tuesday, I can still apply your senior's discount. So at least you aren't losing that one, right?" I can't quite describe her expression. I think she was angry, but I think she was more shocked. And in that state of shock, she sputtered out, "I'm not a senior." I mimicked her shock, trying to appear horrified by my accidental faux pas, and then immediately said, "Let me take that off of there for you then," and promptly took the senior discount off, bumping her total up another $20. "I'm so sorry for the misunderstanding, ma'am." Oh boy, she was pissed. But like I said, I think she was more shocked. She seemed a little dumbfounded. She paid, she took her stuff, she left. I will take that petty moment of satisfaction at her horrified expression to my grave. It was even worth the write-up that I did end up getting after she called the store and gave my manager a piece of her mind. It came out in the comment section down below that OP worked for Kohl's, and there's so many other people in there that worked for Kohl's as well or currently work for them, and the horror stories are absolutely crazy. It seems like a little bit of a crap show of a company, but I'm not going to say too much because, I don't like being sued. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our next story today comes to us from Ding Dong Dee Long Wong. Everybody must know when I am out of office. Let's jump right in. So yeah, a couple of years ago, I was working for an IT company, which also provided server management and general domain and email services. We had some really big companies as clients, so we were used to some really idiotic demands, but most of the time we could convince the people whose main job seemingly was to be in charge to listen to our expertise. Not so Mr. Bigwig. Mr. Bigwig was the CEO of a large automobile sales company. He also was the type of guy who prided himself with being a great negotiator and thinking so far ahead regular people can't follow. And he was a complete butt to everyone. Mr. Bigwig went on a holiday once and set up an automatic out-of-office reply in his mail account, but as is the technical standard, everyone who wrote him during that time only received the reply just one single time. When Mr. Bigwig returned from his vacation, this infuriated him a lot, so he called our support line and yelled and cussed his way up our hierarchy until he had me on the phone. I tried to tell him that this was working as intended and tried to explain why, but Mr. Bigwig wouldn't have any of it. This went all the way to our CTO, who sent him a waiver to sign, stating that we would deactivate this limitation but not be liable for any consequences, in short. Then he told me to make the changes to Mr. Bigwig's account. I tried to object, but the CTO just smiled, shrugged, and went into his office. Mr. Bigwig was happy, he won, and booked this as his latest negotiating victory. Now, let us jump to December the 29th of the same year. I get a phone call from Mr. Bigwig. He is not happy. He is not happy because he is blacklisted on about every blacklist in existence. He is also not happy because he can't receive or send any email. And he is not happy because he can't find any mail he received during the Christmas holidays or near them. He can't find them because the nice number in brackets beside his inbox folder that indicates the amount of unread mails he has reads 50,000. A quick look around the server logs tells me there are indeed some mails he did not receive. 150,000 to be exact. They are still pending delivery because his inbox is full. He is also not happy because he is the laughingstock of everybody he ever respected. Now, let me guide you as the reader to the bottom of this. What you don't know, and what we also did not know at the time, is Mr. Bigwig was a member of a very exclusive group of business owners, CEOs, and high-ranking politicians around the globe. The kind of people you would imagine sitting around a large oak table, smoking cigars, drinking €200 whiskey, and discussing world dominance. This group had a mailing list, a crappy, basic mailing list. It went something like this: Bigwig out of office reply, "Hey, thank you for your mail, but I am on holiday, I will reply later." Some random dude at mailing list, "Merry Christmas." Mailing list at everybody, "Hey guys, some random dude is wishing you Merry Christmas." Bigwig at mailing list, "Thanks for telling me, but I am on holiday, I will reply later." Mailing list at everybody, "Hey guys, Mr. Bigwig is on holiday, he will reply later." Bigwig at mailing list, "Thanks for telling me, but I am on holiday, I will reply later." Mailing list at effing everybody, "Hey guys, Mr. Bigwig is on holiday, he will reply later." Bigwig at mailing list, "Thanks for telling me, but I am on holiday, I will reply later." Mailing list at effing everybody, "Hey guys, Mr. Bigwig is on holiday, he will reply later." Bigwig at mailing list, "Thanks for telling me, but I am on holiday, I will reply later." Mailing list at effing everybody, "Hey guys, Mr. Bigwig is on holiday, he will reply later." Repeat until the servers give out. So B. Diddy was not the only one who had thousands and thousands of mails in his folder. All his fancy pants networking contacts had too. Mr. Bigwig raged hard at everyone who was brave enough to get on the phone with him, threatened to sue us for millions of euros, and to end us as a business. We finally put him through to our founder, who listened to his rant and told him he would send him a solution within the next 10 minutes. He sent 2 documents, a scan of the signed waiver in which the consequences of disabling the out-of-office message restriction were outlined in detail, and a service contract, allowing us to fix the problem to our abilities without any financial budget limitations, but with a really nice, red, enormous estimated budget. It was a good year for the company, with an unexpected spike in revenue just before New Year's Eve. Ah yes, Big Man is a giant douche canoe and wants things done his way. We give him exactly what he wants, and now he realizes how much of an idiot he is and wants it turned back. Okay, well, maybe he didn't realize how much of an idiot he was, but he definitely wants it turned back, and at least he looks like an idiot to everyone else. Our next story today comes to us from Taudo Crone. Boss is going to keep asking me to work shifts when I take time off? How about I take a permanent vacation? Let's jump right in. This is the story of my former employer. I work in the Northeast US, and my employer at the time was a very small company, boss and 5 employees, in a very specific industry where 90% of our work was on construction sites, and finding a well-qualified person in this very specific industry is a very, very hard thing to do. My boss was the kind of boss that every employee hates. Corners were cut every possible way in order to keep overhead costs down. On top of that, he would constantly overbook on jobs, like signing contracts for 6 projects during the same week, knowing full well that he only has 5 employees, which would result in the employees often working 14-hour days or more, which really sucks when you're on a salary, no overtime. His worst attribute by far was approving time off, and then, during your time off, calling or texting you, asking if you would be willing to work a day or cut your vacation short. Sometimes, he'd even ask you to move your time off to the next week or next month. When the workload lightens up, hint, it never lightened up due to his constant overbooking. After working at this company for 6 years, I got used to all the aforementioned annoyances. But then, things changed. My son was born. In the months leading up to his birth, I made it very clear that I would be taking a 5-week unpaid leave of absence once he arrives. The state we're in allows new parents to take up to 8 weeks of unpaid leave. I told my boss that I know 8 weeks would be a huge strain on such a small company, so I was willing to take 5 weeks, but those 5 weeks would be completely off the grid, meaning don't call me, don't text me. If you're going to ask me to do anything work-related, the answer will be no, so don't bother. I'm going to be spending time with my family. He 100% agreed. Fast forward to my son's birth. He was born on a Friday, and after a short stay in the NICU, don't worry, he's fine, was released on Monday, and we took him home. Tuesday morning, the next day, I wake up to a missed call, an email, and 3 texts, all from my boss asking me to call him back ASAP. For reasons still unknown to me to this day, I call him back, and he tells me there's a slight emergency, code speak for he screwed up the scheduling and has a job with no employee at it, and asks if I could maybe come into work that day and maybe work a couple more days that week until he finds someone to cover it. I lost it. I literally felt something in my neck snap and unleashed a verbal assault on him that I still feel bad about now, a year later. I ended my rant with an apology. As much of a dick move as it was for him to be calling me in that situation, it was still completely unprofessional of me to say what I said to him. Obviously, he wasn't a big fan of what I said, and after a small rant of his own, ended with the sentences that made this whole story possible. He said, "You've got a pretty good gig at this company that most people your age would be thankful for. I'd be impressed if you could find a better job in this field because I've been doing this for 30 years and I know how small this industry is. Trust me, good jobs like yours don't come along very often. Think about that." So we ended the call and I did what he said. I thought about it. After thinking about it for 30 seconds, I got out of bed, sat down in front of my computer, and started looking at job postings. 5 weeks later, my time off came to an end, and my first day back, I came into work, walked into my boss's office, and handed him a piece of paper. "What's this? I thought about what you said about how you'd be really impressed if I could find a better job than the one I have here, so I did." My boss reads over what I handed him, a job offer from a competitor for the exact same job I was performing, but at a 25% higher salary, an extra week of paid vacation compared to what I had, and a stipulation that company policy was that work hours are capped at 8 per day, meaning that once I hit 8 hours on a job, I pack it up and leave until tomorrow, no exceptions. Well then, can I have the day to crunch some numbers to come up with a counteroffer? No, don't bother. I just wanted you to see it because I know you wouldn't have believed me otherwise. Gave my 2 weeks notice and left for whatever job site I was on that day. That was a year ago, and I could not be happier with my new job. I get to spend lots of time with my boy, and that's the best job perk there is. For all you bosses and managers out there, don't F with your employees, especially the good ones. Treat them how you'd want to be treated. Most employees don't quit their jobs, they quit their bosses. There was an interesting comment down below this one from somebody who said they had a contract with their company that said if somebody called them and tried to get them to work on a scheduled day off, they were to be paid for 8 hours that day and still keep their day off. That's pretty crazy, and I think we should all try to work that into our contracts. Our last story today comes to us from Evil Hound. You want a meeting to discuss our phone account? Okay, let's have a meeting. Let's jump right in. I'm not sure if this belongs in petty revenge or malicious compliance, for there's a little of both. So sorry if this has been put in the wrong place. Either way, I've enjoyed my malicious revenge compliance, so I hope you do. For the past few years, our business has been receiving telemarketing calls from an offshore call center trying to make appointments for Optus Business Center. Every time they call, we'd politely tell them we were not interested and to remove us from their list, and they'd promise not to call again. You can probably tell by my use of the words every time that having ourselves removed from the list didn't work. It didn't work the first time, and it didn't work the 50th time. Offshore are cheap and get paid per appointment, so they would get quite aggressive. It was clear that a new strategy needed to be found as it was taking too long to get them to bugger off. So began my campaign of malicious compliance and petty revenge. Hi, we're calling from Optus Business Center, and we can save you 40% on your mobile phone bill. Can we come and see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.? You can save me 40% of my mobile bill? That's like 60 grand a month. What? How many phones do you have? 150 or so that I'm responsible for directly, plus a few others. The appointment is quickly confirmed. The next day, a salesman calls me up. He's running early. Can we meet earlier? I refused. Our appointment is for 11 a.m. after all. 11 a.m. rolls around and in he walks. We sit down in reception and go through the greetings. I then ask him if it's possible to make the telemarketing calls stop now. He assures me that it is, and so I stand up, shake his hand, and thank him for coming in. Wait, that's it? You could have said that over the phone. I point out that we did many times, and it didn't work. And I hope that this waste of his time, 45-minute trip from Homebush to Sydney, would perhaps teach him to mend his ways. Over the past 2 years, they have sent out 5 different reps to see us. They call for meetings, we accept them, shine them on about the value of the account, and they roll in to be greeted by me dressed in a chicken suit, made to wait in our meeting room for 20 minutes before being asked to remove from the list, then being turned away at the door. They send 2 reps that time. I'm posting this today because it was visit number 6 and it was the best yet. We got a repeat customer. I sat him down in the meeting room and played the video recording of our last meeting. Is that you? Yes, it's me. Didn't I follow up? Didn't we have a good meeting? I point out that I certainly enjoyed our last meeting and zoom forward in the video to the part where I explained that we didn't have 500 mobile accounts and he needed to please remove us from their list, and you could see his heart break, which it did again once he realized that whatever account he thought was being discussed today was not going to be discussed, which we also have on video so we can go all Inception if and when he shows his face again. Does anyone else think they should be taking this just a little bit further? Like steak and beers, maybe? That would probably work. Just tell them, hey, I'm perfectly willing to listen to your pitch, but you're gonna make it worth my while, so take me out for dinner. Someplace expensive, please. Our next story today comes to us from Ding Dong De Long Wong. What the hell? Everybody must know when I am out of office. Oh my gosh. This is the story of my former employer. I work in the Northwest. Check out all 4 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.